My wife and I went and saw the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. And the first thing that happens is a giant bad guy comes in. He's a monster, he's huge, comes up to a woman, the woman just beats the crap out of him. And I thought, yeah, you've already lost me. Women no longer know who they're supposed to be, and they get insulted if you say to them, well, you may be many things, but the one thing you're not is a man, you know? And so you have to understand what you are as a woman. And that has been outlawed as an idea.
One of the things you said to me, because we met here last year, and I still remember this, we were talking about screenwriting and writing in general, and you said, every great story begins with a boy and a girl. And once I got past the transphobia and the homophobia of that statement, it really made me think, because that is so fundamentally true.
Yeah.
And yet, I think we've become quite uncomfortable with telling a story as basic as that, or a story that is based on such a simple thing.
Well, women no longer exist as characters in the movies. You cannot go to the movies and see a woman who is anything like a woman that you would actually meet unless you date wrestlers. You know, I mean, that's, you know. Probably, I mean, when you talk about, you know, before the camera started rolling, we were talking about all the controversial things we say and how people get angry at us.
Yeah.
Maybe the thing that made people angrier than anything else I've ever said on the air was I saw a show, The Witcher, in which the woman was fighting a duel. And I said, women can't fight duels with men. That's not the way that works. I mean, if it's the Middle Ages and you're in an actual battle, not on a fencing field, those guys were like, you know, it's not like you'd be fighting me. You'd be fighting a guy, this gigantic guy, and he'd come and just wipe you off the face of the earth. If you have a character in a fantasy who's a woman, she should have some magical power, because women do have that. But you can't keep putting women in who fight, because that doesn't happen in real life. And when my daughter was growing up, there would be a scene and a woman would punch a guy, and the guy would roll ass over a tea kettle out the door. And I would say to her, you know, if you punch a guy, the first thing that happens is your hand breaks. And the second thing that happens is he beats the living crap out of you, you know? And so don't ever think that that's a real thing. So feminism destroyed the character of the woman. And yet that's what stories are about. They're about whether a woman can be womanly enough and whether a man can be manly enough to keep life going, to keep the planet, you know, the human race continuing. And in telling that story, you are telling an essential, what's called a psychomachy, the inner battle that we all fight to bring together the pieces of ourselves, because we all have female and male elements, and when you put those together, you are getting something like the image of God, you know, in which we are made. And so that story is the story. And once you lose that story, you're not telling any story at all. And it really is interesting. I mean, I went just the other day, my wife and I went and saw the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. And the first thing that happens is a giant bad guy comes in. This is a classic scene, because this is the scene where Brad Pitt is reading the script and says, oh yeah, I want to play that part. Bad guy comes in, he's a monster, he's huge, comes up to a woman, the woman just beats the crap out of him. And I thought, yeah, you've already lost me, you know, the rest. And in fact, the film is entertaining, it's beautiful, but it's dead inside. It has no inside, because that character, that female character, women no longer know who they're supposed to be, and they get insulted if you say to them, well, you may be many things, but the one thing you're not is a man, you know. And so you have to understand what you are as a woman, and that has been outlawed as an idea.
And it signifies something in the culture to me, that very basic, it's the core, it's like a house without a foundation.
Right. Well, you know, I wrote this book, The Truth and Beauty, and in it I have a chapter on Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And I point out that when people read Frankenstein, it really starts the science fiction genre. She basically invents the modern science fiction genre. And when people read that, they always say, well, Frankenstein wanted to be God. He wanted to create life. And Mary Shelley herself said this. And I thought, no, men do create life. Men and women do create life. He wants to replace not God. He wants to replace the mother. He wants to create life without a woman. And that is, to a large degree, what science fiction is about. And to an even larger and worse degree, what science is about. It has been a long attempt to eliminate the fertility and the difference of women, because men are afraid of that power. And that's what Mary Shelley, I thought, foresaw. That, you know, if you think of a movie like The Terminator, you know, the machines take over and the people rebel. So how do they stop the rebellion? They go back in time to kill the hero's mother. And if you watch that first brilliant film, the woman they want to kill, she has nothing special about her except she's a girl. That's her superpower, you know? And they know they've got to kill her because the machine world depends on women being taken away. This is, you know, just right this moment, people were yelling at me on Twitter because I said we should boycott Anheuser-Busch for putting a boy pretending to be a girl on one of their beer cans. And they said, oh, this is such a small thing. Why are you getting so upset? This is everything. This is everything. The role of women in a society who, after all, create humankind, is everything. And that's why societies that have freer women, who liberate women, who have respect for women, that's why they thrive. And societies that don't get stuck in a kind of medieval half-life. And it's important because soon there'll be machines that give birth. And then we'll turn to women and say, and what's special about you? I can run faster than you, I'm stronger than you are, I can do math better than you can do it. What is it you do again? And they'll have lost their vocation. It's a dangerous, dangerous moment, and because our humanity depends on them.
It's such a profound point, and that is really what we're seeing, and
Right.
we're seeing it right the way through our culture. When are we going to wake up from this, Andrew?
Well, hopefully, you know, we're not going to wake up until women get angry. And this is the thing. You know, my friend and colleague at the Daily Wire, Candace Owens, was just saying when they did it to Budweiser beer, suddenly Budweiser beer took an economic hit. And she said, why? Because men drink Budweiser beer and they get angry, but women...
Not real men.
No, of course not. Of course not. And certainly not men with any taste in beer. Right? But she was just saying that men don't take this stuff quite as much as women do. Women have been convinced. My problem with feminism was always the same thing. It was not that women shouldn't have choices. It was that their values are men's values. They say, oh, you're just a homemaker. You know, you think, really just a homemaker? I mean, isn't the home the basic building block of the state? You know, you're just raising children, you're just creating new people. That has been the feminist archetype from the very beginning. Simone de Beauvoir said women should not be allowed to stay home and raise their kids because too many women will choose to do that. And they have been convincing women that this is a minor thing. This is being thrown out of the society. So when you say, how long will this last? The answer is until you start to have women saying, wait a minute, we've been duped. We've been duped out of ourselves. And you're starting to see it now. I mean, we were talking about Mary Harrington, who's just this brilliant, Oxford-educated thinker, and she had a baby. She was totally in with the left, had a baby, and she thought, no, I actually kind of like this. I actually kind of want to do this. And when more thinking women have that kind of courage, then you'll have ideas trickling down that will counter feminism, because feminism has just been a mistake. It has made everybody miserable. You wonder why I get in trouble.
I wonder why people get upset at you on Twitter.